Hello, I'm Adam Hadfield.
Hello, I'm Cheryl Hadfield.
And welcome to Bru
Breakthroughs,
Season 1, Episode 2.
We're a day late. We was meant to do it yesterday, weren't we? But do you want to say why we didn't do it?
Yes, I had laser eye surgery yesterday. Something that I've wanted to do for quite a while now. Not for a visual purpose, not because I didn't enjoy wearing the glasses or didn't think I looked right in them. It was more for practical reasons, like I was getting sick of having to wear them all the time, taking them on and off at the gym, all that kind of stuff. So yes, we've just got back from an appointment and I now have 20/20 vision, which is brilliant. So just a bit still light sensitive that I might have to draw that curtain.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll do it.
Yeah, again, when it comes to health, you know, you've been wearing glasses now for how many years?
Gosh, best part of 15
years, like and you know, it's going to stand you in good stead, you know, as you get older. So
what we thought we'd do for today's episode is talk about our own fitness journeys and our own struggles, because what we want you to know, if you're following us, following our journey, following Vitalis, is that we understand the pains that you guys go through when it comes to health and fitness. You know, there's a lot of content creators out there who kind of paint a perfect picture, a perfect world, that they do everything and they do it all perfect and it's all first time, and in a lot of cases that isn't the case, and that's not how we want to portray ourselves, is it?
No, we just, for as long as we've been together, we just like to be plain black and white. What you see with us is what you get. We're not here to try and coax people in the wrong context. We want to share who we are, and we want to support who you are as well with your health and what it is you want to do personally.
So do you want to start? Because I think with you, everyone looks at your Instagram, looks at your bodybuilding, your fitness journey, and just must think, oh, it's genetics. She can do it really easy. She can just switch it on. But I know from living with you, it's not as simple as that.
No.
So what's your journey been since you started this?
Well, I'll try and not make it too long-winded, but as most people do, they struggle with self-belief, whether it be mental health or just that self-sabotage, that imposter that we all get in our mind, and just from bad experiences of life, as again we've all gone through. I've always had to be mentally strong, and I've always been into the gym, since I was about, little sphinx joining us there. I've always liked to go into the gym. I did start off with just classes, and then people started coming up to me in the gym asking me for help, and I said, I don't work at the gym. And I think because I started becoming so passionate about it, it showed through my body language. A friend once said, oh, why don't you become a PT? It'd be really good. And that's what planted the seed. So I did that, became a fitness coach at Total Fitness. I worked there for a while. Then I became a PT, but I actually went to Australia on my own for several months. It didn't work out. I came back. I started personal training at Gymworks. I've been there since 2018. I was also starting Strongman in the same year, 2018, which is how we met. And going back to, I've always had to be mentally strong. I thought I want to be physically strong now as well, for any BS I've ever come across, but also to see what my body could do when I put my mind to it. And obviously that's how me and Adam met. We did Strongman for a good 4 years, and it was intense, it was hard, it was brutal, it was rewarding. We did competitions together. We did some big competitions, qualifiers. I've got a European log championship, and yeah, that was our chapter for that. Then it was a case of losing weight for the wedding, and I think because I'm such a short person, me personally, I'm quite stocky if I put on too much weight, being only 4'10". So I wanted to kind of trim down but keep my muscle for our wedding, which then planted the seed to bodybuilding, because the coach I'm with, she's got a lot of bodybuilding athletes, and everyone to a degree wants to feel I hate saying this, lean and shredded, but I think everyone would love to see a six-pack on themselves in their lifetime, which is what I wanted to achieve. So then I asked my coach, do you think I could do this? So without a shadow of a doubt, yes. So did my first prep in 2023. the prep was 9 months. I look back now and I think, how the hell did I diet for that long? And what you find about true dieting, not just saying, oh, I'm on a diet, true deficit diet, following structure, following everything, it teaches you so much about yourself. It really, really does. People will say, oh, you're obsessive, this, that, and the other. You have to be obsessive to a degree to get to that level of that body composition, because it's not sustainable, it's not healthy, it's not realistic, it's for the stage. So, you know, I'm now in off season. I competed last year, and, you know, it's not all about being an athlete for me, for us. It's about health in general. So even though I love being an athlete, I also love being lifestyle. I love, you know, on a Friday night, I'm not doing this tonight, we're having a nice, healthy meal. I would normally open up a big bag of Doritos or a big bag of American spicy flavoured crisps of some kind, 'cause I'm not a sweet tooth person. We like to pour ourselves a drink or two. We don't get carried away, me and Adam, it's just our enough. Things like this, just sitting having a brew. And we just love helping people in general. And I think if you set your mind to do anything, whether it be strongman, powerlifting, bodybuilding, high rocks, running, whatever you want to do, you absolutely can do it. It's just other things that need to be worked on, like your nutrition, like how you feel when you see, say, an advert on the telly, Domino's pops up, oh, what a pizza now. Do you? Or is it just because you've seen it? So, yeah, before I was into fitness, I was actually a dancer. So my body has always thrived off moving. And I think that's why I am the way I am, and why people enjoy watching what I do and working with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I could talk about it all day, but hope in a nutshell that gives you a little bit of insight to me and my journey.
For me, mine has been probably a little bit more complex than yours. So I was always growing up quite a large kid. Probably earliest memory I can have negative memory to do with my weight was in primary school. A teacher essentially fat shamed me in front of the entire class. The entire class laughed at me. He noticed, because he was laughing, that I was getting upset, and then he tried to backpedal a little bit. And it's always the negatives that stick with you.
I didn't know that.
You know, I'm sure I told you that.
I didn't know it was a teacher.
Yeah, it was a teacher.
I knew you.
This was in primary school as well. I was
awful.
in year 6, so I'd have been final year of primary school.
I knew you had trouble with kids at school. I didn't know that was a teacher. That's awful.
So I spent most of my primary years and most of my high school years being bullied about my weight. You know, I was quite a chubby kid. Didn't help that I then became a mosher and I had big curly hair. And
mosher, I'm not that
I didn't really help myself, but I always had a lot of insecurities, not only because of that, but because I was, you know, bullied and sort of fat shamed. And when you start to hit puberty and you start to like think about girls and stuff like that, or boys, you know, whatever your preference is, I never had the confidence, because I think we've always grown up in a society where fat is seen as wrong, haven't we? Or unattractive, should I say, when you're at that age. So I struggled with my confidence throughout. And it's only probably been the last 3 or 4 years, and I've done videos on this before, so I don't mind talking about it, where I've kind of realised that for a lot of my teens, 20s, even to now, I've probably had undiagnosed eating disorders, particularly binge eating. I really struggled with that growing up into my early 20s, and I've now become a lot more aware of it. So that has been easier to control it. I still have lapses in episodes every now and again, but they're nowhere near as bad as they used to be when I was growing up. So that kind of painted my teens and early 20s. Around the age of 19, I did my first diet, and it was very destructive. What I mean by that is I just set my mind to, I am losing weight come hell or high water, and my day would look like a bowl of porridge when I got up. I was working as a carer at the time, so it would have been when I was about 19, 20. I'd go to work. All I'd have for my lunch would be a fruit salad and a protein shake. Then for tea, I'd have an Actimel, another protein shake, and maybe something else, and that is all I'd eat. And I did that for about 4 or 5 months, and I lost loads of weight. There's pictures of me I just look like a stick. But then I did what most people do when you go into those drastic cuts, is I put it back on, because that's just naturally what you do. And this is why we're doing the health coach and trying to help people, because I actually did a video on Vitalis' page the other day about diets. Diets do not work. If your goal is for a lifestyle change and for longevity, you need to do that in a way where it is small micro changes over a big period of time. If you put yourself in a calorie deficit for a goal, so it might be a wedding, whatever it might be, it will work, that will work, but it will only work in the short term. It's something like 80% of people who diet end up putting the weight back on or more after a 12-month period. And I discovered that the hard way. And then I did that throughout my 20s. I'd be up, I'd be down, I'd be up, I'd be down. And then, as Cheryl just said, I got into strongman. It was after a breakup. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something for me, something different. So I went and joined Chaos, local strongman gym. Loved it. Loved the feeling of being strong. Loved watching my numbers going up. Packed on loads of really dense muscle. And then we sort of did that journey, as Cheryl said, did the competitions, and then we kind of like fell sort of just naturally sort of moved away from that. It was kind of the right time in our lives.
Yeah.
But what I struggled with then was the loss of that feeling strong.
Yeah.
And I continued to eat like I was still doing strongman. And I don't think lockdown helped either of us. 2020 was really tough for both of us because we couldn't get to a gym. We were just eating like shit.
Oh my God, we were eating crap.
We were
and
eating
drinking.
awfully and drinking a lot together. And then that is where I reached my heaviest weight I've ever been, which was about 126 kilograms.
Was it? That's
My
it was
heaviest.
20.
Yeah. And then that's when I got into more thinking about things from a lifestyle perspective. And ever since then, so that was 2021-ish. Every time now I've kind of lost weight, if I've put a bit on after doing kind of phases, that's the way I think of it now. It's never been as much as the peak before. I've just kind of maintained, but just gradually gone down during that period. And that's where I've realised that doing it that way is the only way to sustain those changes. And I'm in another period at the minute that we've obviously started since January. And again, I intend to get down to a new weight and then stay there and then look at doing drops again, because look, no one wants to be in calorie deficits or eating mega healthy for long periods of time. Let's be realistic here. That's not fun. That's not like what people enjoy. We can talk all day long about UPFs and how they drag you in and the salt and the sugar and all of that. But for me, it's about doing that in phases and then maintaining, and that maintenance bit is the important bit. And that's where it comes into balance, like Cheryl said about, 90% of your week you're on a plan or you're eating well, or however you want to phrase it, because we try not to demonize food. Food is just food.
Yeah.
You just either eat too much or too little, and you can either make choices of what is the right things or what are the wrong things. So we like to have, as Cheryl said, a Friday night where we'll have some crisps, so we might once in a while order a takeaway or something like that. But then the rest of the time, just about focusing. I think for me, like the other time, I should have really said this before I started the main sort of diet that I've been on in 2021. We actually went on our honeymoon, and the big turning point for me, I got extremely embarrassed. We went on an excursion.
Yeah, I remember this.
And we were like rappelled down into a cenote. We're in Mexico, which is basically a big underground lake. And the way to get back up is they would literally pull you back up, the staff at the top. And I remember getting to the top, and they were just all laughing and joking that literally about 9 of these Mexican lads had to have pulled me up, and they were all they weren't doing it in an offensive way or trying to, upset me or anything, but they were essentially like saying, oh my gosh, we had to get everyone to pull you out. And I just wanted to just shrivel up and just disappeared, and I just went off into a corner and kind of just tried to laugh it off. And it was when we got back from that honeymoon, that's when I said, right, I'm not staying it this way again.
And I remember, obviously, so I didn't pick up at the time, but when we were on our honeymoon, whenever I wanted pictures with you, he'd kind of shy away or make sure we were covered up. And back then, like, I didn't even think that was probably the cause, and I thought 'cause we were on our honeymoon, but it just goes to show that can have such an impact on your confidence, your mentality.
And that's the key word. It's the confidence. For I've always struggled with confidence, but as I'm working through this more and more, and I continue on this journey, my confidence is getting better and better.
It is getting better. Like, I've noticed a huge difference with you, because with the first time I did my bodybuilding competition as well, I think it was obviously not just challenging for you, it was challenging for Adam, because it makes you realise your life, you put it completely on hold, which is why it's so important what we're talking about to you right now, the difference between extreme dieting, which is what I've done on prep, to just going into little, like we said last week, little habit changes is the best way, the healthiest way. So then it's not going to impact people like your loved ones, your children, your work life, your sleep. But it was quite we don't argue, but it was quite clashy, weren't we? Because I still wanted to kind of live our normal lifestyle. Yeah, but I was like,
but you were like really focused.
I was bulletproof. When I am bulletproof, I'm bulletproof. There's just nothing getting in my way. And last year, it's why I thought I can do this in 4 months versus 9 months, because I knew more what to expect. And I proved myself that I had put on the muscle in my first proper off season. I did get leaner. They always want more from you, but it's a very subjective sport. But then in life, when we're dieting, don't become the subject of thinking, oh, what are people thinking? Because like you say, it's an ongoing thing. Like the progression you've made already, even before Christmas, because Christmas is such a, like Adam always says, fuck it, it's Christmas. And he said it ever since we've been together. And whereas now, a lot of your decision making around the foods that I love as well, but I have noticed a very, very significant change.
Yeah, and what we wanted to do this video about today really was to, I think I mentioned it earlier in the video, is to kind of show you that we are real people. We're not these Instagram models that pretend, everything is lived that way, and there's no toughness to doing lifestyle changes, there's no challenges. We understand your pain. We have been there, both of us. We have both been obese, we have both been overweight, we have both had to overcome those barriers and those changes, and that is why we feel we can really help you when it comes to this.
It feels quite emotional, just like talking. We do these talks anyway, now that we're letting people in, it feels quite emotional talking about it.
And that's why we want people to come in and be part of this and see our journeys as well as help you with your own, because like I say, we feel that we know what a lot of you are going through, and that's why we feel we can really help and support you. So I think we will end that episode there.
Short and sweet.
I think it's still been about 20 minutes. I could be wrong though. But what we wanted to also say is, if you guys have any ideas on topics you want us to discuss, please drop us a comment either on our Instagram, on our YouTube, and we will gladly oblige. But thank you for watching again.
Thank you very much.
See you next week.
Yeah, we shall.
Bye.
Bye.